We did know each other, yeah. We met through my partner, Leslie Bibb, and they did a movie together. And yeah, we socialized in a bar in Brooklyn and talked about working together.
And then here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We're from the same planet. We just...
Yeah, we're just actor nerds, you know?
Yeah, we
Character
are.
actors.
Character actors. He's very giving, which I follow his career. So when I met Leslie and she told me, I was like, ah! I fanned out. And I was like, you gotta introduce me. You gotta introduce me. And like he said, we hung out in Brooklyn. And I've just been a fan of his work. And I'm always interested in working with people that I think is going to challenge me. You know what I mean? I can carry a scene if I have to, but that's not fun. You want a sparring partner. You want somebody that's going to throw you stuff to make you raise the bar, right? And that's Sam. When he signed on, I was over the moon. I was like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Because I know how following him, I just know that he gives it his all. He disappears when he goes into these characters. And that's a dream. You want to work with people like that.
I knew from the moment I saw Hustle and Flow that Taraji and I would have good chemistry. I'm not sure what that is, but Taraji just has this, it's a combination of tough and soft, you know, and vulnerable and tough. And there's something just, I don't know, I saw you in that movie and I got just obsessed with you in that. And then we found a way to work together. And like I said before, I didn't know it was going to be something like this, but I was like, all right, you know, this is what it is. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Anne was a powerhouse activist in the 60s, 70s, and she was very poor. And she just fought for the rights of others. And even though she didn't have much, see, it doesn't take money to love. You don't have to have a lot of money to care about people. You know, you just have to have a heart and compassion. And that's what she had. She was a Christian woman who believed in God's love, which was all-inclusive and unconditional. That's why she was able to appeal to this man who was so full of hate. But when you call yourself a Christian, that's the type of work Christians do. You know, they got to rise above the hate, and they got to love, and that's very hard to do. It's very hard to do when people are saying the most hateful things to you. But if that's your calling, you got to rise. And she did. And so did CP. Eventually.
That's right. That's right. Well, she changes him, you know. But yeah, he did some bad things. He's not a you know, he had a journey to take, and she got him there. You just have to find the humanity in a guy like this in order for people to understand him.
It's always fun playing those characters that people love to hate. I want to play more of them. I always get the morally correct character. Or strong. I want to be bad. Because the trick in playing the bad guy, if you play a bad guy and everybody hates you, you didn't do your job. The trick is to play a bad guy that people feel for.
Yeah, that's right. I liked you in that movie where you were the
assassin.
Yeah, that was a
Smoking
great.
Aces.
Yeah, what's her name? Was your
Alicia Keys.
Yeah, that was great. That was cool. I liked that relationship you guys had. That was really.
She wasn't really a bad guy though.
Yeah, I guess she was kind of a cool guy.
She was just cool. I'm talking a bad, morally incorrect, like
Hannibal Lecter.
What? Yeah, like you question everything.
Yeah.
I haven't played one yet. It was through her belief in God and unconditional love. When she stopped fighting him the same fight, they were fighting the same fight. Hate. Even though she was on the right side, it still came off as hate to him. He wasn't hearing it. He was hearing, you don't like me, I don't like you, right? So until she tapped into God's love, again, like I said, it's all-inclusive, unconditional, and she really saw him as a human, then she was able to reach him, right? Love wins every time. I know it's cliche. I know you see the hashtags all the time, but it is the truth. Think about it. Hate's objective is to destroy. So if hate ever wins, it will be the end of humanity as we know it. Love wins. Love is life. You birth out of love. You make love, you have a baby out of love. You know, love always wins. Always. And until she tapped into love, till she changed, she wasn't going to change him until she changed.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, again, she has to change in order for him to change, you know, and that's a big component to this. And Bill Riddick has to be given credit for organizing these charrettes, and but yeah.
And Bill Riddick actually got Anne to change. She challenged her thinking, right? Because the whole time she thought she was right. I'm right about everything. They were both the same person.
Yeah,
they were both the same person trying to get their point across using the same tactics, and they were clashing.
There's some great scenes in this movie that really happened, like the scene at the gas station with Bill and CP, the scene in the cafeteria with Bill, CP, and Anne. That's pretty much verbatim. That scene where they first meet. That's a hilarious scene. And there's a few scenes like that are just, it's astonishing to think that this, and he really tore up his card,
I want people to know that hate is actually taught. It is taught. No one is born to hate. That man really didn't have hate in his heart. Because if he was born to hate, he wouldn't have tore that card up, right? So hate is taught. And once we sit down to understand where it comes from and why, if you're on the other side, if you're on the right side, and all you do is hate back, you're just as guilty as the person that you're calling the racist or the hater. Somebody got to shut up and listen. And really listen for understanding. Not listen to respond or react. Not listen to get my point across, because mine's more important than yours. No, let me understand where you're coming from first. And now I'm going to try a different approach.
Well, yeah, that's true. You have to go to the source of the hate. You have to sort of find out why that's happening. And get to the heart of that in order to change it first.
It's like an alcoholic. You got to know you have a problem first, right? Oh, okay, yes, I do drink a little too much. Now, what makes me drink? What is the trigger that makes me gotta pick that? You see what I mean? It's the same thing with hate. It's a disease.
We had a lot of levity. Once you get your feet wet and you start yelling at each other, and then you got to tell some jokes and stuff.
We laughed a lot in between. We listened to music. We did a lot in between takes. That's what actors do. We live in between takes.
That's right. And between interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get up, he's going to get up and stretch. And we're going to talk about something until the next person comes in.
It's an unbelievable feeling. It is a feeling of just pure joy, and that you get to tell the story to a lot of people, and that it might help somebody. That's a good feeling. Now we had a documentary made, long before the film. Then a guy did a play about it. And so when the movie came up, we were, and I say we, wife and I, just, okay. It wasn't the first time somebody had said a movie to us, so we went to meet Bissell, Robin Bissell, and he seemed very sincere and really energized about the story. And then the play, I met his father, and we had a great conversation. And he said, Robin is serious about doing this film. And so we're sitting here now. They didn't like me, and it was likewise. I thought that they were set in their way. They had beliefs that I couldn't quite deal with. And I didn't see how standing alone they could ever be successful. That they had to modify how they stood in the world as people now. I'm not talking about the community. I'm just talking about as people, that they both had to modify their stance for it to be acceptable. Well, I got pushed in the corner where I had to go with the leadership of the community. Here is one person saying segregation is not going to happen. It is bad. It is not going to be. You got this other person over here saying, look, we've taken this too much, and this is going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. We're going to make this happen. And those are two strong positions. But they represented large portions of that community. And so I had no choice but to try to bring them together. Man, the biggest jump that I made with myself was after the first night going home and wrestling with my own biases. And I had to put those to rest. And I did, because I had to accept each of these individuals the way they were. And that's the only way we can move forward. And so when I got rid of my own biases, I think that helped them to see a path that I was trying to direct them in. I think, first of all, you got to have a look in the mirror and understand your own biases, understand how they got there, and understand what to do about them. And that's what I had to do. And I had a short period of time to do it in because I wanted to be successful. I'm glad, though, because I left there a better person. And when CP tore up his card, it was a very moving and touching moment in my life. You know, if I could leave my family out of it, it might have been the most touching thing that happened to me as a professional person. The charrette is a planning process where you try to look at a community, identify the problem, and look at who's on the end of it, and do they represent a group? There are a lot of people who got these stance that Ann and CP had, but they don't represent very many people. Each one of them had a following. Well, now, the friendship part, I was not privy to. I knew they left a better understanding. But remember now, from the day I left the charrette, and it acted out the way it should act out, they weren't friends of mine. You see, I mean, I left, and you're supposed to leave the community with leadership. And here we left the community with a combined leadership of a black woman who would, you know, just do anything to have her way, with a white supremacist over here who decided to become friends. That's a powerful story. Babu did well. I had the opportunity to watch some of the filming, and you know, Bissell gave me the opportunity to have a walk with him. And we had a walk, a short walk, it wasn't a long walk. And I gave him what I thought it was like. And he took it. He really did well. I mean, really well. And I'm glad I had that talk with him. Well, you know, my ego won't let me say that you can play Bill Riddick, you know. But I mean, he did a great job. Obviously, you know, I've lived a long life, and I had a lot of audiences, and I didn't expect for him to be exactly like me, but I tried to get him as close as I could. Taraji did a 99%, and I don't know how she got out of her own skin to do that, but it was a magnificent job. It was a magnificent job. I think the service station, you know, where I didn't really want to go, but I had to go. And I had talked to a friend of his that had called me, you know, to do this. And so I knew that I was safe. I knew I was safe. And he was hard to talk to, just hard to talk to. He just would not recognize that I was there hardly. And that was okay. I expected that. I think she helped change history because she gave messages back to her community that we're going to have to be smarter. We're going to have to do things a little different than we've been doing it. That it's not enough just to walk downtown on Saturday and march. That we're going to have to start to study our situations and study where we are, and then march forward with some solutions to our problem rather than just telling people about our problems. Well, You know, I've been a humble person for almost all of my life, and I really think, you know, that the Lord has blessed me to sit here in this chair today, and with all these years that I bring to this chair, and that part of my success is His doing. And I think the other part of my success is my having the will to accept people the way they are when I meet them, but do my damnness to walk away. I'm a better person and they're a better person. Magnificent. Now, he really played CP. It was just, you know, gratifying to see how he had to have put in a lot of time to talk like CP and to walk like CP. And I'm sure he never saw CP walk, but he did. You know, he had that Southern swag to him that I'm better than anybody in this room, and that's how CP felt. I think there are two takeaways. I think we really have to start with the person in the mirror. I really do, because we have allowed ourselves to become not so very good. We put up in this country today with stuff that we should not put up with. And so we're going to have to look at ourselves and say, I am here for a reason, and my reason is to make this a better place. Then what do I have to do to improve myself? And then how can I help my neighbor?
CP was poor. He did a lot. He was a janitor at a college. He pumped gas. He briefly owned a gas station, and I think lost it. And he found an identity in the Klan because it gave him a sense of importance, and in his community, he thought he was doing something good. And through the charrette, he learns that, and through Anne and Bill, I think he learned that what he was doing was not good, and he was wrong. And I think it took a lot of courage for him to change his ways, and in fact, his life was in danger after that. I listened to his voice a lot. There were some interviews that were given to me. I met with his family, met with the kid that's in the hospital who's blind and mentally handicapped, and who's now not a kid anymore. Yeah, a lot of research involved, some documentaries. I talked to an ex-white supremacist who now pulls people out of hate groups, and the guy actually, I think he's loosely based on the American History X characters, loosely based on him. Yeah, she was boisterous and brave, and really, she didn't take no for an answer. Yeah. I love Taraji. I'm a big fan of her work, and a big fan of her as a person. I just think she is an incredibly authentic person, and I just love her. I just adore her and respect her as an artist. She was able to change herself and find through her kind of, she found some compassion for him, which is sort of incredible, and love for him, and I think that astonished him. And they realized that they had a lot in common. You know, they were both poor, and he had more in common with her than the affluent whites that he was trying to fit in with. You know, so I think they identified a lot about their children, and, you know, a lot of things they had in common. I love Robin. He's great. We had a great time. He's a great guy. You know, he was a singer, really good singer in a band, and obviously a big producer, and so he's been on film sets before. It's not like his first film set he's on. Oh man, I just had a great time with Taraji, and I'm just really glad we made this movie, and I love Robin, and the whole thing was really special for me.